It's the waitingfornextyear.com podcast. We were trying to get an in-person episode with Sportsyelling and Brutal Stephanie again, and we will, but for now, Sportsyelling on Skype. How's it going?
It's going well. Feel better soon, Brutal Stephanie.
Yeah. By the way, your connection sounds wonderful today.
Thank you. I wore headphones as prescribed, and my dog is being extremely quiet.
That's awesome. So what is going on with your Cleveland Indians? I mean, I know they're kind of winning right now, but I always wonder, obviously you love the Indians. I love the Indians. Everybody loves the Indians, and they want to love them even more. I just wonder sometimes how the superfans are taking kind of a down year when we had expectations.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because I am a hopelessly optimistic human being by nature. But I am also pretty realistic, I think. And so I'm just trying to enjoy baseball without being disappointed that it's not going to become something more. Because I think that ship has probably sailed unless we have some extremely good luck.
So this is like the end of a summer tryst, away at summer camp, but you're not going to date after you both go home.
Right. It's exactly like that. But you really enjoy the tryst, and you're going to be like in a dry spell for like 6 months after that. So you should enjoy it while you have it.
And you'll pretend like you're going to write letters or send emails and stuff, but you're probably not.
You're not. You just need to enjoy it while it lasts and then say goodbye.
So you don't want the Indians to kind of go all in on the trade deadline and try and make something happen?
No. I think any team that is under 500 going all in is silly.
Yeah, it's so crazy though, because there's a scary thing to me. On the one hand, we've been talking about this at Waiting for Next Year, just how they've got these young pitchers locked up in the long term, and yes, that feels good. But on the other hand, I look at the way Detroit is struggling with Verlander, and I'm kind of like, well, maybe you just need to take advantage of every opportunity you're given, and this Indian staff is pitching so well, maybe this is the year that you have to invest in them, even if it looks a little bit bleak.
I totally see that point, and you never know, especially with pitchers, what could happen next year. So I understand that completely. It's just I feel like the amount of pieces that we need, we would have to kind of sell too much to get what we truly need, and even then it's not a guarantee. So I see that point, but I'm still a little bit hesitant to go all in.
Well, and that's always one of the caveats. I say go all in, like I just want the Indians to be buyers instead of sellers, but I would never advocate, them doing something really stupid. But
yeah,
I mean, then again, we had all this debate about, well, did the Indians give up too much for Ubaldo?
And it turned out to be just fine.
Yeah, kind of everybody got exactly pretty much what they paid for.
Yeah, and we were I remember thinking the sky was falling, and we are not missing anything with not having Pomerantz in white.
No, not really. And so that's not to say that you can't lose a trade at some point, but the Indians are generally pretty good. I just would like to think that, not that they're going to be out forcing it, but there are going to be some pieces that move, and there are going to be some players who move at the trade deadline who make a difference in a playoff run. And I do believe in the majority of this lineup. I really do.
Yeah, I know what has gone wrong this season, but if you were to tell me that would happen at the beginning of the season, I would have been just as confused, because I couldn't have predicted a downturn of all of these people at the same time.
No. So I assume you read Mark Shapiro's interview with Marla Ridenour? I
read somebody's analysis of it, which had the quotes in it.
Okay, so how do you feel about the Cleveland Indians front office? And I mean, I don't know if you're aware of my opinions on it, but I wrote up a whole thing about how I think, I don't think they're awful people. I don't think they're awful at their job necessarily. I think they've made mistakes, of course, but I think their PR stinks and hasn't adjusted in a decade.
That's true. We say the same thing about the front office every year, and their PR is always the same. I remember being extremely frustrated because Antonetti is the person that always kind of says, well, if everybody would play to their potential, we wouldn't have this problem. And that's kind of their common theme. but you can't expect everybody to play to their potential 100% of the time. And
Right.
the way they've built this lineup, there's not really room for that error, if that makes sense. Like, there's no buffer person. There's no, like, buffer room for this team.
It's like they're always working on, and Brian Windhurst used the margin of error thing with the Cavs the whole playoff season, but it works. You know, the Indians kind of operate with a 2% margin of error at all times instead of a 20% margin for error.
And I think because of their budget, that's the thing that they have to do. They can't build in that 20% margin of error.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. I always kind of feel like the front office, when they're interviewed, are just kind of begging to be able to say, like, they won't let me spend any more money, I can't help you. But they're not allowed to say that, so they always just, like, spin it around some other way.
But they kind of do say that, and I think that's what they need to remove from their vernacular. I think they need to stop trying to reduce my hope and try and increase it. You know, and it's easy. I mean, for all the disadvantages that the Indians have in terms of overall payroll, these are where they have to talk about their advantages. The fact that Michael Brantley's never been a free agent yet, and Jason Kipnis has never been a free agent yet. You know, so the Indians have guys who the Yankees couldn't buy if they wanted to.
Yeah, but see, that's a double-edged sword, though. Anything that the front office says, people are going to be unhappy. It doesn't matter what they say. So if you had the front office spinning all of these positive things, you would still have Facebook Indians commenters going, yeah, but what about our fucking right-handed power bat, you tools? Like, that would still happen, and it doesn't matter what their narrative is, kind of. They're damned if they do and damned if they don't. And that's not to say I agree with the things that they say. It's just that they have a losing battle.
But I think I do agree with that. There are going to be haters no matter what. But at the same time, I think I'd rather deal with haters while I'm trying to build hope than haters while I'm trying to temper expectations. And I feel like they temper expectations it's almost in their DNA.
See, I do that as a human being. Like, I temper my expectations of everything. Like, I undersell myself personally. So,
and they've already sold the people who like us, like you, who temper expectations. I don't want to get back into, because maybe those other people aren't to be sold, but I don't know. Catering to the traditional Indians fans who are already in the seats seems kind of goofy, because there are like 7,500 of them.
That's true, but how many of the people who are not already in the seats are reading these articles?
That's a good question. I don't know, but if a fiery Mark Shapiro sat down with Marla Ridenour, it would be covered elsewhere.
True. I was surprised he called out specific people having down years.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think he's ever done that before, has he?
I don't think so, and I was talking to Dave Sterling last night about that, and I in my memory, the only time I can remember the Indians organization criticizing a player was when Dick Jacobs called out Manny Ramirez right before he left for Boston.
Oh.
And that was a really long time ago.
That is a very long time ago. I was surprised he called out, like, Carlos.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Did he call out Michael Bourn? I would have.
I think he did.
I just can't. Yeah, I'm surprised that they specifically called out people, because generally they keep it so vague that you're annoyed that they didn't call people out. But I was surprised
then again, you'd have
did.
to be a dummy not to say that Swisher's underperformed what they hoped he would do.
Very true.
And yeah, that's fine. I don't want to talk about Nick Swisher. It's too depressing.
Hey, I do want to ask you, what is your opinion of Michael Bourn? Is it time to just DFA him and eat the money?
I'd be shocked if they couldn't get somebody to take him. You know, the Indians would have to pay some of his salary or whatever, but to think that none of these teams would want to try and resurrect his career, especially in the National League. But then again, I guess he is a DFA candidate. I don't need to see him play anymore. How about that?
Yeah, that's fair. I am just waiting, but I know that they have so much money invested in him that I would be surprised if it happens, but I want it to happen so badly, I guess.
Yeah, well, and I guess the real key is he blocking somebody?
That's true. I don't know that he is, but...
Yeah, they've got a lot of guys that they're like, well, we could bring him up. We're not quite sure that he's ready.
Yeah.
In that kind of way.
I think Jeff Nominatar, I know that's not his real last name.
Yeah, Nomina.
Was talking about it on Twitter today, and he was saying, it's not that anybody else is batting better than him, but lots of people are fielding better than him.
Yeah.
So, like, Holt and Naquin aren't necessarily bat upgrades, but they would definitely be a fielding upgrade.
It's hard to believe they'd be bat downgrades.
Yeah, I mean, how can you get worse?
Don't dare him. You're like daring him to get worse.
That's true. I shouldn't do that.
All right, so I think that probably covers the Indians.
I think that's fair.
We've got to give them some more room to figure out what they're going to do, and over the next couple of weeks is kind of big. But despite what people may think with all my criticism, I do love this team. I love a lot of the players, and
Absolutely.
Here's my dream, and I'm not even going to put this in the show notes because I don't want anybody to pick up on it. I want them to trade for Victor Martinez.
They're not going to do that.
Shh.
Explain, but like he just signed.
Don't say it. Just say it could happen. The Tigers are going to sell.
It's not out of the realm of possibility, I suppose.
The Indians could pay him till he's 40. How could that backfire?
Do the Tigers have a Victor Martinez bobblehead day coming up?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because I feel like it would be really poetic to get him back the day before his Tigers bobblehead day.
Would the Tigers trade with the Indians? I guess they would if it was
they're
to their
unloading.
advantage.
Yeah, if they think they're getting a deal out of it. But I just across the board, I would be surprised to see them get rid of V-Mart. I think that they'll dump. They said Cespedes and they said Price, maybe Verlander if they can trick somebody into that.
But who would be upset with the Indians for trading for Victor?
No
Anybody?
one. It would be great. It would be a great move. And I would love having him not on the Tigers.
Yeah. Well, and Cespedes is more likely because he's in the final year of his deal.
Yeah.
But, what would the Indians have to give up for, a few months of a $10 million player?
Yeah, and we don't really need a rental.
No.
Again, I don't think we need a rental because I don't think we're making a push. But that's just how... This is just a desolate wasteland of baseball, and I'm fine with it.
But how much would Cespedes make a difference in that lineup? I think he'd make a huge difference. I still feel like the Indians are only one player away, one hitter away.
But that we'll sign him, and he'll have the hugest slump, and nothing will happen.
I'm not trying to be racist, but isn't he Cuban?
Yes.
So it says he's 29, but who really knows?
Who can ever be sure? Also,
you know what? There's enough evidence. That's not racist. That's just past history.
That's true.
Damn it.
Damn it. I would like it if we got Yoenis Cespedes because then the Cespedes Barbecue Twitter account would have to like the Indians.
Oh, that'd be great.
And I like them, and I want nothing more than to force them to like us.
You know what? And plus, it's not racist because I want him on the team. See?
You're really trying to talk. I don't think that's racism. That's just like stereotyping Cubans.
No, it's stereotyping their like governmental agencies or lack thereof. I don't know.
That's fine.
I mean, Julio Franco turned out to be 5 years older than he actually was, or something like that. Anyway,
Fausto wasn't Cuban, was he?
Yeah, different name even.
Yeah, he really went for it.
Yeah, says the person who goes by Sportsyelling on Twitter.
That's my God-given name. You can't prove it isn't.
I can't. All right, so here's something else, and I haven't talked about this with anybody on the podcast, but I really, this is like me showing my old man flag and just proving how old I am now. I cannot understand Snapchat.
What don't you understand about Snapchat?
Okay. Well, I understand Snapchat. I understand why it exists, and I understand how it works. But so I was at a rock concert. I went to see Brand New and Manchester Orchestra at
I should have gone to that.
Scene Pavilion, and it was a really good show. But the people in front of me were in their 20s, and before the show, they were talking, and they were saying, "Yeah, we're going to be Snapchatting the whole show."
Okay.
And maybe that's an annoying use of Snapchat, but
yeah.
But here I'm sitting there going, well, okay, I get Instagram if you're at a show because you're capturing the music and it's going to be captured forever. I get Facebook, I get just using a video camera because you're capturing it forever. But I don't understand capturing art to share with your friends that's going to expire.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's an annoying way to use Snapchat personally.
Okay. So I assume you use Snapchat?
I do use Snapchat. I will say that you can, at the end of the day, you can download everything to like your computer or however you want to do it. So you can save all those videos you took.
Okay.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you personally can have those still. And
this
just let
is so
everybody
dorky.
else see them for 24 hours. If
This is so
sense.
dorky. I sat at lunch with a friend the other day.
Uh-huh.
And we sent a snap to each other and then did the screen cap just to see what that notification looked like.
Okay.
Because I'd heard that was a feature that if you send somebody a picture and then they screen cap it, that it would let you know.
Yep.
So I wanted to see what that looked like.
What it would be like.
Yeah.
For someone to screenshot your snaps.
Exactly.
I have a friend who had she was like laying out, getting a tan or whatever.
Oh, no.
And somebody screenshotted like her in her bikini, like a creeper. Don't do that. Don't be that person.
Well, and I mean, the urge of that person to do it in a place where they probably knew they were going to get caught anyway, and they were like, "Screw it, I have to. Screw it, I have to."
That's just like some level of desperation I'm uncomfortable with.
Opie and Anthony used to call it the perv switch, because every now and then you'd read about like a dentist who would put a woman under, and then she'd wake up and her buttons were all weird. And they'd be like, the perv switch just went off in that dentist. He just couldn't help it. He just had to.
That's
and
not okay.
And then he had to go to jail. But
yeah, he had to.
Right.
His perv switch sent him right to jail.
And lose his medical license and all that other stuff. But anyway, it just seems. So what's the killer? Like what is it about Snapchat that when you're on your phone you grab that one instead of Instagram or Facebook?
I don't use Facebook, just for the record.
Fair enough.
I like Snapchat. I like watch people's stories because I like them sometimes, or like famous people's stories, not necessarily my friends. I will really just go to Snapchat if somebody snaps me. Like, it's not something that I like go for all the time. Like, if somebody sent me something, then I'll open it. But otherwise, I'm on Twitter.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Well, and I get the one-to-one. If you have a bunch of friends who are all on Snapchat, you might Snapchat with each other. But I can't figure out why you would do that instead of texting or something like that.
That's fair. I also like their different locations have different filters. So like if you're up in Cleveland, you can swipe after you take the picture and you'll see like the Cleveland skyline or like different things that you can put on the picture, which is cool. Or like different events have different ones. So like when we were in Cincinnati for the game this weekend, they have like red specific ones. You could like put a mustache on yourself because of the All-Star game and stuff. So that part is kind of cool. Like I like going to new cities and being like, ooh, I wonder what filters they have because I think it's fun.
Oh, so that's almost like the location specific thing is almost like I was going to use a different. It doesn't matter. That's really cool though.
Yeah,
that's just different.
Yeah, I found it interesting. And then around Christmas time, they had one for every state, and I happened to be traveling from South Carolina home, so every state I did a new one so I could see what the state filter was.
All right.
So that part I think is cool. In general, Snapchat is not really useful to my life.
Okay. Well, and that helps me, actually, because I thought maybe I was broken somehow, that it wasn't.
You're not.
There was nothing for me to do with it.
No, I will say that my students use it way too much, and they're going to get themselves all in trouble.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And they're probably using it in inappropriate ways.
Oh, yeah. Middle school is the worst.
So I do follow a lot of like social media guru types and marketing types, and nobody seems to be able to figure out if Snapchat's one of those ones that'll actually be around forever or whether it'll just kind of die off at some point. Go the way of Tumblr's still around, but barely.
I totally disagree. I still love Tumblr.
Okay, but what about Snapchat?
I I don't know if it'll be around forever, but I think they've done a good job of monetizing it while it is around. Because they have like the different channels you can watch, like the Comedy Central tab that just shows like different stuff, or like the Cosmo one or Food Network or whatever. And then they have different sponsored ones every day. So, I mean, they're getting their money while people still have interest.
Okay. It just seems like of all the technologies and social networks that we've seen come across, it's the easiest one for somebody to just say, yeah, we're going to do that too. It was like, I still like Vine, but there's just nothing. Vine, there's no killer part of Vine that is not repeatable by somebody else.
Oh, I totally agree. I don't really use Vine.
Right. I only use Vine when other people use it for sports highlights.
Yeah,
and then
that's fair.
And then I steal them.
And then I steal them.
Right.
Perfect.
Because they did do a good job embedding, so you can like embed stuff on websites.
Yeah.
And things.
I'm annoyed that Instagram got rid of the embed feature on Twitter.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I know why they did it, because they're like with Facebook now or whatever, but I was annoyed that happened.
But this is the thing. You never win in the end by making it worse for your users. You just don't. It's a bad idea. Even if it's not in your best business, even if you think it's not in your best business motives to do it, it's in your best business motives to do it because of what you just said.
Yeah.
Never torture your users. Never take something away from them.
I totally agree with you.
Only add. If you want to minimize the impact of Instagram embed on Twitter, then let everybody else do it and create your own or something. So that it's like, all right, well, you can embed Instagram, but nobody's using Instagram anymore. You got to beat them. You can't just selectively remove them.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Well, last but not least, I told you before we went live here that we'd been having conversations about True Detective, and you said that you've been watching it as well. And it's been a disappointment. I don't think it's over. I think it can recover still. But they made some key mistakes in the first half of the season.
I feel like it's starting very slow, and there are way too many human beings in this story.
Yes. There are way too many human beings, and the human beings they failed to properly introduce and develop the characters so that we knew exactly who they were and where they fit. Yeah.
Yeah, I really want it to be good, and I still have faith that it might be later, because hopeless. I treat TV the same way I treat the Indians, I guess. I just feel like it's very slow because they're trying to develop too many characters.
Yes.
And had you just chosen like 2 of these instead of like 6, I would be much less confused.
So which characters do you think that they've unnecessarily kind of tossed in there? And let's use their actor names, because I don't even. That's the part of the problem. I don't even know their character names.
I don't either. I feel like they added the police officer that probably is gay.
Uh-huh.
I don't even know his actor name.
No, I don't either.
The highway cop, the one that. Huh? Oh, Paul apparently is his name. That's what I said. I feel like they added him, and they
tell him to shut up and watch more wrestling. No, sorry, I didn't mean that.
I won't tell him. I think that they added him, and it should have just been Colin Farrell, right?
Yeah.
Or is it Colin Firth? I get
Farrell
and Firth confused a lot. And Rachel McAdams. It should have just been those 2. Maybe.
Yeah, I liked. I think Colin Farrell was good. Rachel McAdams was good, and they still could have had Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, he can stay. I also think Vince Vaughn has too many henchmen.
Yes.
So, like, when they keep saying people died, I don't know who that is, because you never actually introduced them as people. So a person died. I don't know who.
Well, and when Vince Vaughn and his guys are standing with another group of people, I can never tell which guys are Vince Vaughn's. And so he might have 3 people with him, and they might be talking to a crew of 4 people. But there was one scene where he was meeting with some former business partners or whatever, and I couldn't figure out which ones were the former business partners and which one were the current, like, crew.
Yeah.
It was just very confusing.
I totally agree. That whole section of it is confusing, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like if they had taken out Paul, not that I don't like Paul, but if they had taken him out, more time could be spent developing. Like, I want to know more about Rachel McAdams' dad's weird cult thing.
Yeah.
But we haven't gotten to that.
And I like Rachel McAdams in anything.
Yes, I do too. She's great.
All right. Well, at least it feels like they kind of got it to a point. I haven't seen the latest episode, and you said you hadn't either.
No.
But they finally at least got it to a point with a very big action sequence. I won't ruin it for anybody, but that we've got that point where, all right, we've survived it, and now we can start to get to the second half of the story.
Yeah. I'm really hoping that it picks up this episode, but Twitter didn't seem that excited.
Is there any part of you that thinks if you went back and rewatched the first part that you'd be better off and you'd like it more, even though you shouldn't have to put in that kind of time?
It's entirely possible that I would. I might need to do that after the whole season is over, though, because I still don't fully understand. Like, there were a couple of... I rewatched one episode because I fell asleep, which tells you something.
Well, and I wondered about that too. Are you a double screen person? Do you have your phone and your tablet out? Sometimes
it's just a bad habit, I think.
Sometimes I blame myself.
Yeah. I was totally double screening, so I missed so much. So I rewatched it, and I picked up on more things, but I don't feel like I should have to.
No.
You should spoon feed me this a little bit better.
Well, and the first season was so compelling that I didn't want to have the second screen up.
Right. Yeah. I think it says something about the show if I'm distracting myself with my phone.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Oh, man. Sometimes these shows just try and be too fine and too smart, and they end up ruining themselves.
Yes.
So.
Yes, I totally agree. I saw somebody tweet, like, we all liked True Detectives for, like, the cult stuff, but they thought that we liked it for, like, the deep personal interactions. And so they're giving us more of that and not any of the cult stuff, which is too bad.
Or at least, like, I don't know what the push and pull is right now. I don't know what they're fighting about. I don't know what the big issue is.
Yes. Also, they changed the song from last season to this season.
Yeah.
And so I keep trying to listen to the lyrics of this season to see if it's like foreshadowing.
Oh. Well, and the opening music stinks.
It's growing on me, but I liked the first season better.
Yeah. Everything about the first season is better. And I don't think that's me just being first season was better kind of snob. I really think that this one kind of dropped the ball.
I think you're right.
Okay.
I think you're right. Did you watch Serial? Or listen to Serial?
Of course. Yeah, I loved it.
I just started listening to this podcast called Sword and Scale.
Ooh.
Have you ever heard of it?
No.
It's like true crime, but it's a different case every week. Like, they go through the whole case. It's really good. I feel like you would like it.
Oh, and they're up to episode 34, so I like that. Got a bunch of stuff to listen to. Yeah. No, I haven't heard of this. Why have I not heard of this?
I don't know. My friend told me about it. Actually, I'm listening to episode 50, but I just started.
Yeah.
I've only listened to. This is my second one, but stuff gets really real, and they have like true interview audio and like all of that stuff.
See, that's great. It comes down to the host, though. Is it one host or?
It's one host, and actually it kind of sounds like you, so I was wondering if you did it on the side.
I wish. It sounds like it's a paying gig.
Yeah. It's very good. And he kind of sounds, it sounds like you.
All right. I'll listen to it, and now I'll figure out if that's a compliment or if that's...
No, that's good. You have I've said this many times, you have a very soothing podcast voice.
Thank you very much. And so do you. It was very, it's always fun to catch up.
Yes, it is. I cannot wait to do it in person.
And I feel my joke about telling your husband to shut up fell flat, so I apologize.
No, I thought it was very funny. It's just that I didn't tell him to shut up out loud because he can't hear you.
Is there anything going on in the wrestling world that I need to know about? And any big pay-per-views coming up? What's going on?
They just had a pay-per-view on Sunday. It was... I didn't see most of it because I was on the bus to Cincinnati and back. But the ending was...
How was the bus to Cincinnati?
It was good. It was so hot in Cincinnati that I was sick a lot. Just because I was dehydrated. But the actual bus itself was it was a long trip, but it was fun. It's nice being with a bunch of people that you like for an extended period of time.
Oh, so it was an Indians bus?
Yes, it was like a whole Tribe Takes Cincy movement kind of thing.
And so do they have like outlets and movies and all kinds of stuff?
Yes, we watched only baseball movies, obviously. So we watched like Major League and Bull Durham and Sandlot.
Okay, The Sandlot. I was trying to figure out where we're going after that. Maybe the Kevin Costner Perfect Game Pitcher movie. I always forget the name of that one.
There are a lot of options, but that's what they went with. There are some outlets, and then there's a bathroom, which is good because it's a 4-hour trip. And then we did Indians trivia for part of it. So we like did teams of 4 and stuff, and it was like very intense.
I love trivia.
So you would have been very good at it. My team is not so good at it.
Unless it was baseball.
It was baseball trivia, so maybe you wouldn't have been so good.
I'm not so good at baseball trivia. I'm really good at pop culture, music, and movies and stuff like that.
The weird thing about an Indians trip is that they insist on doing baseball trivia.
Mix it up, man.
Come on, Joel. Yeah.
I wonder if any of those people like me anymore after my Mark Shapiro take.
Well, I'm sure you're fine. I'm sure you're fine.
It wasn't like hatred. It was just
I
was trying to be constructive.
Take was very even keeled.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're reasonable.
I'm gonna save that. Make everybody listen to the fact that somebody called me reasonable.
Just use that one clip to open every
show. See, Mom? See?
Yeah.
All right. Well, this was too much fun. Too much fun.
Let's do it again soon.
And by the way, the next time that we do this, and when we get in person, we were talking about having Scott and forcing him to do Scorching Hot Takes because I refuse.
I really want Scott to do Scorching Hot Takes.
It's the only way he's allowed to attend.
I think that's fair. We haven't done an episode in a very long time, and I think that Scott has to be the next one.
Very good. You tell him the bad news.
I will.
All right. Very cool.
All right.
Thanks again so much. Thanks for listening, everybody. Tell a friend. Say hi. Say hi to Sportsyelling on Twitter. I've created this kind of podcast feedback thing because I've found that the podcast listeners aren't necessarily WFNY readers. And so I'm instructing these people to come out of the woodwork and just say hi. Nothing else. Don't say, loved your podcast, hated your podcast. Just find Sportsyelling and tweet hi. She'll know what it means.
I will know what it means. Can't you tell him to do like a better code like monkey butt or something?
Next time you see Sportsyelling on Twitter, you are going to tweet monkey butt.
See, I like that better because hi could be anything.
Okay, monkey butt.
Great.
Don't tag the Waiting for Next Year podcast when you say monkey butt.
Why not, man?
All right, maybe. All right. Thanks again, and we'll do it again soon.
Yes, we will.
It's been the waitingfornextyear.com podcast.
Waiting for next year.